Hello, everybody. You're welcome to the Straight Up Chelsea show, and let's go right into it. This should be the last day, or at least we've got barely till the 1st of February to complete any transfer deals, but nothing seems to be even on the horizon. I know there's been the link to Matistel, and apparently Bayern Munich have agreed to terms with Tottenham Hotspurs. I think 50 million plus for Matistel. And for me, the question is he even what Chelsea needs at the moment? Because I think, in my opinion, Chelsea actually needs a striker, an out and out striker. Not someone he can be a striker or he can be a winger, but he prefers playing here or there. We need someone who's an out and out striker that can actually, be strong competition for Nicholas Jackson and sorry, Jackson fanboys, can even be a replacement for Nicholas Jackson. That's the way I see things. I don't know how you see it, but at the moment it seems like Chelsea, you know, are not even looking like they'll sign anyone. Although in a couple of hours ago, I started seeing reports popping up about Chelsea may be interested in Evan Ferguson. Yes, another Brighton player, because it seems at this minute that Chelsea can't do without signing or being interested in a Brighton player. Now he hasn't played that much this season, so I don't know why Chelsea should be interested in signing Evan Ferguson. He hasn't really played that much this season, so he's another player that would be coming in if indeed Chelsea goes for him. Low on confidence and someone that you would have to work on. And this is not the Evan Ferguson that was on top form a couple of seasons ago. So for me, I don't think that's what Chelsea should be going for. In terms of profile, I think he matches the profile, for Chelsea. But in terms of actual quality, in terms of what he's done, recently, he's actually done nothing. And like I keep saying, in football and sports, you must update your resume. Hasn't done that, so I don't see why Chelsea should be going for him this season because it seems like something that just wouldn't work. Now, Chelsea may sign him, and then surprisingly, he shocks everyone, starts scoring goals right to the center. It's possible, but do we still want to go for those unsure things, those miracles that if they perform well, it's a miracle, not even an expectation? So for me, I don't think Ferguson is someone that Chelsea should be looking at. And then I want to speak about Enzo Maresca's press conference and a couple of questions he was asked and how he responded to questions. Now he was asked about Sanchez as well and Philip Jorgensen. So essentially, what his thought was, or what he said is that that Sanchez is the number one, and then Philip Jorgensen has always known that he's coming in to be a number two. Fair dues. Good to make your matters clear. Good to make issues clear. To everyone when they're signing for you. But what happens when the number one just keeps making errors? In tennis, it will be called unforced errors. Errors leading to, and he keeps making those errors, and every game it seems to be worse. And a lot of people go on about, Chelsea can't win the league if they have a goalkeeper like Robert Sanchez. Chelsea, can't, be in Champions League places with a goalkeeper like Robert Sanchez. Now, that for me, that is even stretching it too far. I don't think Chelsea can even be in the top four or finish in European places with a goalkeeper like Robert Sanchez, in my opinion, because the errors he makes. Now, there are two things. One, you could always concede worldies. A player dribbles and the entire defense scores. Someone smashes a shot from 10 years out, goal. Or from 40 years out, goal. Stunning strike. Nothing you can do about it. You can stretch all you want, and you don't touch it, you don't save it. Now, those goals will always come. But the goals where you've just made an error out of nowhere, out of the blues, and your team concedes. The game against Man City, he was there. He saw Chaloba battling with Ellen Haaland. He saw Chaloba racing down to be with Ellen Haaland. He just ran out of his box. So when a goalkeeper continuously makes those errors, it means you don't want him in your team. Now, there are two things as well with having a goalkeeper in there. When the goalkeeper begins to make those errors, his confidence gets shot. Now, as long as his confidence is shot, even if he is a good goalkeeper, he would then be affected by it. The normal saves he should be making, he wouldn't be making them. And then he'll continuously keep on making errors. So in my opinion, I think no, 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 he shouldn't be in goal come the West Ham game. And that West Ham game, believe me, because I thought going into this season that Chelsea, had overcome the hoodoo under Pochettino, which was you play against the supposedly lesser fancy teams and you lose. I thought this season under Enzo Maresca, Chelsea had overcome that, and then going into games will always when you play the supposedly less fancy side, you win. But that's out the window. Lost to Fulham at home, drew to Bournemouth at home, you know, lost to just keep losing games at home, losing games to these teams that you call less fancy teams. Drop points to Crystal Palace. So this is a game that you have to take seriously, and you don't want any errors in the game. You don't want any errors in the game. You want the likes of Sanchez out, in my opinion. Now, Maresca may choose to keep him on the bench or may choose to start him. But then again, if he does, that means he's asking for trouble. Now, another question Enzo Maresca was asked, I'm paraphrasing now, is if he thought that the 30% of the team or a percentage of the team were being affected by transfer links and transfer rumors and all that. Now he said, oh, they're human and it's possible to be affected by transfer rumors and all this sort of stuff. Now that's true, that's fine. But do you know what players are more affected by? They are more affected by not playing. They're more affected by being on the bench, coming on for 2 minutes. Of course, you'll be affected by transfer rumors, but you would also be even more so affected when you're not playing. Now, I imagine Enzo Maresca, the sporting director, might have had a discussion with João Felix when he was signed to say, oh, you see, Palmer is our number one. He's our number 110, and then you are second choice. Fair dues. A discussion could have been had with Nkunku to say, Christo, we know you were signed as the top guy in the team, but your injuries are recovering now. Palmer is the number one guy, and you're number 2 or number 3. Good. Then you have someone like Enzo Maresca, especially going into that game like the Wolves game. You've seen Palmer struggling because first he was injured, and then he was being kicked up and down the pitch, and you refuse to make a change. What do you think? What do you expect João Felix to think about? What do you expect? How do you expect Nkunku to feel? I know we as fans, we want players to, even if you get 2 minutes, you should be ready to go on and play. Even if you have 3 minutes, you should be ready to go on and play. But when a manager drains your confidence, how can you play? And this is the way to drain the confidence of a player. This is what you do. And this is what Enzo Maresca has done. Which is, one, I won't play you in your favored position. He's done with that with Nkunku several times. Secondly, I won't play you I won't give you reasonable minutes. I'll probably give you like 5 minutes here, 4 minutes here, and expect you to do something. Now, if we go back to the Bournemouth game, not the one at Stamford Bridge, the one, at the Vitality Stadium, if we go back to that game, Nkunku came off the bench for Nicholas Jackson and scored. You could see his body language then was different. You could see how enthusiastic he was about that game, about playing. But ever since then, his confidence has been shot with the way Enzo Maresca treated him. So his confidence is affected. So for me, I think even more than the press, even more than the links to other clubs, because obviously players want to play, they want to go. If I'm not playing for the club I'm at, my mind will be, which other club can I play for? I'll be asking my agent, what's going on? Can you get me move out of this place? I'm not playing. Of course, that would be something that would happen. Of course, that would be, on the minds of the players. But even more so, these players should be playing, should be given not automatic starting spots, but should be given game time. And one thing I want to say, Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are backing Enzo Maresca. Lots of them are backing Enzo Maresca, saying, okay, Jao Felix should be sold, is not good enough. Oh, Nkunku should be sold, not good enough. When you've done all this, I hope come the end of the transfer window, no one comes up to complain about strength in depth. Because Enzo Maresca has refused to use his squad. He has. He has refused to use his squad. He's used Palmer all against the Premier League without changing him. And get my point. I'm not saying bench Cole Palmer. No, I'm not. I'm not saying João Felix is a better player than Cole Palmer. And no, but what I'm saying is this. When you see your top player struggling, when you see, a player in a particular position struggling, and you have options on the bench, and it's now maybe 20 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go, why can't you make a change and use your squad depth and use the players you have on the bench? Now, going to the top question I want to deal with that Enzo Maresca was asked, he was asked about this second to the last question, he was asked about McGee. That McGee knows how to press, he has a pace, he's an actual striker, he's physical, and all that stuff. We know McGee is 6'2", and a lot of people think he's shorter, so people think he's 5'10" or 5'8", but he's actually 6'2", so he's tall, he's very tall. So he's good enough to be a striker. He said, "Oh, McGee doing fantastically well, and he's playing good in training, he's training well and everything, but." Sometimes the coach has to make, I'm paraphrasing, has to make a choice, who he plays, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad." Good answer. Good. The buck stops at your table as a coach. You have the right to make whatever changes you want to make. And we as fans, we can only give our opinion on platforms like this, on YouTube, Twitter, X, in the stadium. We can only try to have those discussions, but the coach makes the final decision, right? Good. That's nice. That's awesome. But as a coach, you have this young striker. He's shown you all this in training. You're watching the game. You're seeing Jackson struggling. He's not coming up with the goals. He's missing chances. Why not play McGee? If he's indeed training well, and you're not just coming to the media to sort of, tell us one thing and then in training, something else is happening. Why in the world would you not play McGee at least off the bench? Going to the West Ham game, I'm sorry, I would like to see him start. I would like to see McGee start because Jackson, he just keeps missing chances. And for me, I think sometimes you need to take a player out of the firing line, and so they can sit on the bench, let their heads cool, let their brains clear, the cobwebs in their brains clear, and then they can see things even more clearly, and then come in the second half and even impress. So I think McGee should start, in my opinion. And then one question that was asked by a journalist, which I think was a silly question to ask, Enzo Maresca was asked if he had any sympathy for, Graham Potter, because when Graham Potter was the coach at Chelsea, he had the club wasn't as settled as it is at the minute and all that. So I think Enzo Maresca just gave the perfect answer. He said, because when when Graham Potter was coach at Chelsea, he wasn't there and all that. So fine answer. But the same thing, and to talk about Graham Potter was making his decisions as a coach as well and making certain mistakes. And I just hope Enzo Maresca doesn't begin to make those mistakes. We know that David Datro Fofana under Potter was the only recognized striker. No, he was the second recognized striker. Aubameyang wasn't used. Kai Havertz was used as a striker for so long. Fofana wasn't used until he had to leave. So I just hope Enzo Maresca doesn't make those mistakes. Doesn't make those mistakes that Potter made, that Pochettino made, playing people out of position, overusing certain players. Because at the end of the day, for me, I'm not Enzo Maresca out. But your decisions as a coach will decide whether you stay in the job or you get sacked. That's the truth about the matter. If you keep playing people in wrong positions and they keep struggling and you keep being static tactically, then that is your problem. That is your burden. And you have to bear the brunt. You have to bear the brunt of what happens, the consequence of your actions. That's it. And then now, one thing I want to speak about is tactically. Enzo Maresca doesn't seem to be flexible tactically, and I think that is the only way, things can change. That's the only way things can change, in my opinion. First off, I want to start at the back. I know everyone was happy when Chaloba was recalled. Those of who were going on about, Chaloba um, was was kept out of the team, was sent on loan. It's a disgrace to invite him back, to recall him back to the team, and all that. But generally, everyone was happy that Trevor Chaloba was recalled from his loan. Colwill, generally people are impressed with Colwill. But there's one thing I want to say. Each time Tosin Adarabayo has come on the pitch, he's shown leadership, he's shown character, and it's also shown that he is a very, very good defender. And I think right now, Chelsea needs an experienced head in that defense. And he, whether you like it or not, he's the most experienced centre back that Chelsea have at this minute. And for me, I think he should start, and whoever else should be paired alongside him, whether it's Colwell or whether it's Chaloba, should be paired alongside Tosin Adarabioyo, because he's shown he can lead the team. He's a very good defender. He's tall, 6'5", so he can do, and he has more Premier League experience than everyone else put together all the other centre backs. So I think he should be given a chance to start, whether it's alongside Colwell, whether it's alongside Chaloba. And Colwell is another person that I think Enzo Maresca, maybe he likes, but I think he should look at closely, because Levi Colwell is beginning to make certain errors, certain errors. Now, I will give him a pass for the Erling Haaland goal, because I think the main error in that, leading up to that Erling Haaland's, to Foden's goal, sorry, not Erling Haaland, the Foden's goal was Chaloba's. Chaloba was the person that made the main error. Colwell's error was being a touch too tight to Erling Haaland. Could have given him some space so he has time to react. But Chaloba totally missed the runs of Phil Foden, and Phil Foden just ran straight through one-on-one of the flick of Erling Haaland and scored, converted. So the game was over by then. So I'll give him a pass for that. But overall, we've had games where Colwell has been key in Chelsea conceding, playing the entire attack of Arsenal onside, playing the entire attack of Fulham onside. And the Chelsea fan base have always found a way to, protect him, to support him, to look for someone else to blame. Oh, Noni Madueke should have tracked back. Oh, Malagusto missed out on his man. But you could see the plan was push up. He didn't push up. He played everyone onside. So I think Tosin Adarabioyo should come, because the Wolves game, at Stamford Bridge was one of the best games defensively, in terms of the defensive pairing. Chaloba and Tosin just showed a good understanding. So I would want them to start against West Ham. But, do I say it is maybe Enzo Maresca will still stick with Colwell, and then maybe even go with Chaloba as well? So that's that. And then speaking generally in terms of tactical flexibility, now no one is saying, at least I'm not saying, defend too deep, be ultra defensive, but have some tactical fluidity up front. Last season, we saw the way, we saw how Malagusto played last season. It was back and forth, high energy, at the right hand side, and then dropping into midfield. He was even dropping into midfield sometimes, but although not fully inverted, he would be there you underlap into midfield and then overlap, go on the outside of Noni Madueke. That was good play. But now he's being forced to, it's either you stay in that 8 role or you're benched. And the same thing happened with Reece James as well. We know what Reece James' superpower is. His superpower is 1v1 defending, go up and down, and crosses into the box. We know that. So, but when you're forcing Reece James to be in that midfield, to invest into midfield and remain there for the better part of the game, then what do you expect? You're taking away his offensive threat, and also you're exposing him defensively because when you have that, usually you have the center back in the middle and the other two right-sided centre backs are spread out wide, the left-sided centre back spread out wide, and you have that gigantic space between them. And one long ball in there, and everyone is thrown into confusion. So for me, I want to see that overlapping thing. And then you're talking about the wingers. You can see against Man City how Nonye Madueke was, doubled upon. Not even doubled. He was tripled on. You could see three people around him, and that happens. There are two reasons that happens. One, you're playing, an inverted winger. That is, he's playing with his weaker foot towards towards the 18-yard box, which is stronger foot, sorry, towards the 18-yard box, as opposed to an orthodox winger where you have the ball on the stronger foot for him to be able to weak crosses in. So no matter how he does it, he will always have to cut in to the 18-yard box, which is not bad in itself. And then secondly, you're having your fullbacks invert as opposed to going on the outside and dragging the attention of the fullback of the opposing team. That's what you're doing. And then when you have those three people or two people doubling up on your winger, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? So that makes it difficult for Noni Madueke. It makes it difficult for your likes of Jadon Sancho as well. And then even your Pedro Neto, it makes it difficult for them. And then that then leads to things being made difficult for your Cole Palmers, and then reduces the service for your likes of Nicholas Jackson. So these are things I think Enzo Maresca just has to change and just stop being stubborn. Because I know modern coaches right now, they're all about, my style of football, my philosophy of football. And sometimes I feel they get too married to that idea of how I want to play, as opposed to winning. Jose Mourinho had this style of play, but sometimes he'll be flexible in game to find a way to win. Ancelotti has a style of play, but he'll be flexible in game to find a way to win. Ferguson had a style of play, but will be flexible in game, have to make certain changes to ensure his team wins. And then this ridiculous high line. I keep saying this. If you play high line without high pressing, you're asking for trouble. You play high line and you're not squeezing up and pressing on the defenders of the opposing team and their midfielders to make it difficult for them to play the ball out, then what's the point? Because that high line, you just need a very smart striker, intelligent striker, stand on the edge, and then make the runs in. What you have is 1v1, go. And last season, that's what Chelsea did to Spurs last season. They were playing the mad high line, over the top. Jackson got a hat-trick after missing a ton. That's to tell you how open Spurs were. And that's the same thing. Chelsea were open that way against Man City. And if the goal was coming, you could see those passes coming in. They were fluffing their lines. Mamouche was missing a lot of chances. And then the goals came. So it's either you're sitting back and being compact or you're actually pressing, because I couldn't see any press going on. So that's one thing I think he should change as well. And something Enzo Maresca used to do, he stopped doing it. He's made that mistake now. He's made that error in judgment, I think, 2 or 3 times now. Against Liverpool, you knew they'll play high line. You knew Alexander Arnold will push up forward. You knew Alexander Arnold will push up forward. You knew that. And that would have been an opportunity for Pedro Neto to play as an orthodox left winger. For me, that is his best position, an orthodox left winger. Because head down, speed, go to the byline, put crosses in, or not make defenders run in and cause chaos there. That is his best position. I know this is the modern era where everyone feels like you must play inverted wingers. No, he is an orthodox winger, a traditional winger, and he has pace to burn. So Enzo Maresca has missed out on opportunities where he should have played Pedro Neto up against an aging defender or a defender that doesn't really defend and pushes up, or against a defensive high line. Against Everton, You saw Ashley Young was struggling against Sancho and would have even struggled more against a pacey Pedro Neto. He refused to make that change. He refused to make that change. And that cost Chelsea points. And that was the game that saw Chelsea, that began Chelsea's poor form. That began Chelsea's poor form. And for me, you can't continue to have that. Now, for me, I'm not one of those standard FC people. Oh, you must come in immediately and win a quadruple. You must come in immediately and get 114 points. No, I'm not one of those. But you should, as Chelsea Football Club, be looking at, okay, we should be able to beat everyone else. Maybe your Man City, apart from your Man City, your Arsenals, your Liverpools, these three. Everyone else you should be able to beat. Should be able to beat. If you lose against Man City, it's painful, but okay, they're ahead of you, their development, you know how they've packed their project. No, you lose against Arsenal, painful. How can we lose this game? Da, da, da. But they're way ahead of you in their project. Okay, you lose against Liverpool, it's painful, fans banter, it's hurtful, you lose points. But they're ahead of you. But why would you then be dropping points to Bournemouth, losing to Liverpool, losing to Fulham at home, dropping points to Crystal Palace? Those are not good results. Those are not good results. Forgive me. If you really want to, compete and get into the top four, you can't be losing to Bournemouth. You can't be losing to Nottingham Forest. You can't be dropping points to Crystal Palace, home or away. You just can't. Except you drop your expectations. And one thing people must know, this is not the NBA or the NFL. And why do I say that? In the NBA, no matter how bad your season is, once the season is over, everything resets. There's no NBA Champions League that you're in. There's no NBA Champions League that you can use as a marketing, as a tool to pitch yourself to players to say, okay, we're in this Champions League. We can offer you Champions League football if you sign for us and play for us. You don't have that in the NBA. Once it ends, it resets. And in the NBA, sometimes, even when you finish at the bottom of the pile, you get the opportunity to get the best young talent available in the country, the best basketball player available in the US. You're able in the draft, you're able to get the best player, the best young talent. Sometimes you can get 3 or 4 of them when you finish poorly. That doesn't happen in the Premier League. Your sponsors dry up. You miss out on high level sponsors. You lack that extra juice that you can use to pitch and attract players to your club. You just lack it. So you can't be messing about, finishing 8th, finishing 10th, and same project. No, you just can't be doing that. And if indeed you want to get into Europe, then you must, change the way you play and focus on winning. And like I said, I'm not sure anyone is saying you must start playing defensively, pack the boss. No, but you should be flexible and look for ways that you win games. Especially like the Man City game. You've watched that, you've seen how teams won against Man City. High pressing, make it difficult for them to come out. And then you decide not to do that in the game at all. You decide not to do that in the game at all. And there's this Enzo Maresca has been saying that has had me scratching my head, which is, I can't play. João Felix is a good player, he's a wonderful player, nice talent, trains well, he does good, but I can't play him because balance. There's an issue of balance. Play him at Palma, there's a balance issue. Balance, and you play a fullback in midfield, and you're talking about balance. So how does that make sense? You're playing a fullback, inverting a fullback into the midfield, and then you're saying, balance. To play a midfielder actually in midfield would affect the balance of the team, but you have a fullback playing in the midfield. And sometimes people act like, 2-8s is a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been there for a long time. People have been playing with a lone 6 and 2-8s or 2-10s, if you want to call it that way. They've been playing like that for years, for decades. Teams have been setting up that way. Sometimes, especially I'm not talking of when you're playing a Man City, when you're playing a Liverpool, when you're playing an Arsenal, or even Spurs, but Spurs are not even really important. But when you're playing the teams that would normally sit back against you, and that is, let's say that's like 15 or 14 teams in the league, they'll ordinarily sit back against you, ordinarily pack the bus, make it difficult for you to break them down. In those games, you should be able to go with a Palmer, Jao Felix, for instance, and have Caicedo sit at a lone six in front of a back four, a typical back four. Then because sometimes Palmer is in search of people to combine with in that position behind the striker. So sometimes you can play Jao Felix and Palmer in those positions behind the striker. Enzo Maresca needs to change things. The greatest managers ever, whether you want to talk about your Ancelottis, you want to talk about your Jose Mourinho's, you want to talk about, you want to talk about your Alex Ferguson's, you want to talk about your Pep, even Pep Guardiola. They always find a way within their philosophy, whether it's counter-attacking philosophy, whether it's an attacking minded philosophy, they always found a way to tweak the formation here and there to ensure they win. Right now, this inverted into midfield isn't working. It's not working because it leaves the team exposed. It leaves the team exposed because I'm sure it's an instruction from Enzo Maresca because the players are no longer dynamic. Rather than seeing Gusto sometimes run into midfield, sometimes run on the outside of a fullback, of a winger, you see him just continually making the same runs, making the same movement, being stuck in the midfield. And that takes away his dynamism. So people say, oh, Gusto is struggling, it's a flop, sell him. But watch the game. Watch the game. Watch the game. You would see why he's struggling. Because he's being handcuffed and say, stay there. Don't go out, don't make overlaps on the other side, just remain there. And then you see the likes of Noni Madueke being crowded on. You see 2-3 people surround Madueke. How are you gonna come out from there? How are you going to come out from there? Finally, Forest 1-1 Brighton, Newcastle 2-1 Newcastle, 2-1 Everton, 2-1 Ipswich, Bournemouth 2-2, Liverpool 2-0 Villa, United 1-0, Brentford 2-2, Spurs 2-1, Chelsea 1-0. Prediction. Okay, Nick. Hopefully, right now I'll take any win. Any win. I'll take any win right now for Chelsea. As a Chelsea fan, I'll take any win. Even if it's possible to have half nil, possible to have half Chelsea half West Ham nil, and you get 3 points to win, I will take it. I will take it. So for Brighton, that could be a 1-1 or with the way Brighton plays, they could just fall into the hands of Forest. The way I look at it, they could fall into the hands of Forest. They could just fall into the hands of Forest. So back to the Chelsea thing. You have these dynamic players, and then people want to criticize Madueke. I've seen a lot of tweets. I've seen a lot of commentary by Chelsea fans and non-Chelsea fans as well. Oh, Noni Madueke's attitude, Noni Madueke is this, Noni Madueke is that. But the problem I have with criticizing a player, I believe you can criticize anybody. Nobody is beyond being criticized. Everybody can be criticized. This is subjective how we view football. It's subjective. So you have the right to your opinion, I have my opinion, and we all have the right to share our opinion. But Noni Madueke produces, he gets criticized. Pedro Neto doesn't produce, no one criticizes him. Why? People talk about Noni Madueke's attitude. He doesn't drop back to defend. That's not true. That's just not true. People are just lying. That's my opinion, because I see him drop back to help out the fullback. So, but the main problem is, outside of people being hypercritical of Noni Madueke, is that you're not giving your wingers the opportunity to completely shine because you're allowing them to be boxed in. And that's what's happening. You're having Neto boxed in. You're having Madueke boxed in. Sancho boxed in. And why? Because teams are realizing that they're always going to be alone. Those wingers are always going to be alone. No matter what happens, the fullbacks are not going to go out to support them. No matter what happens, no matter what happens, the fullbacks are always going to be tucked into the midfield. So you can afford to drop two men on Madueke and he won't get any support. And let's understand this, for the most part, most teams Chelsea will be playing against, no matter how poor their form is at the minute, will always be teams that Chelsea that would be happy with the draw. So when you're playing against teams that will be happy with the draw, that it then becomes more difficult to break them down. They're happy with the 0-0. They're happy. They're happy. So that's something to take into consideration. And then the striking position. Nicholas Jackson started well. He started the season well, getting his goals, scoring goals. But then I pointed one thing out. I've said it in previous videos where Nicholas Jackson needs to improve. Nicholas Jackson improved the early part of this season in his 1v1. True pass, 1v1 versus goalkeeper, Nicholas Jackson buries it 9 times out of 10. We saw that against Brentford at Stamford Bridge. True pass, 1v1, bury. Improve. But one thing that I've been crying out for Nicholas Jackson to improve on is his presence in the box, his movement in the box. His movement in the box has been poor this season. Let's just hold our hands up and admit it. It doesn't make you less of a fan. It doesn't make you less of a supporter of Chelsea. It doesn't make you hate Jackson if you say his movement in the box is poor. And that makes it difficult for the wingers to put crosses into the box. Because when you get to the byline, where is he? When you check onto your stronger foot to read the ball in, where's the striker? He's not there. He's hiding behind the defender. And then another thing as well that is wrong with Nicholas Jackson this season and why he's missed a lot of goals is his technique in striking the ball. Believe me, I never thought I would be talking about a striker's technique. In fact, a striker's technique in hitting the ball is something I've taken for granted for a long time. In fact, that should be a very rudimentary thing that you should do orderly. To call yourself a striker, the way you hit the ball is important. It's very crucial. So I never look at it to say, oh, he hits the ball well, so he's a good striker. The other things I look at to say, okay, because I've taken it for granted. Nicholas Jackson doesn't attack the ball. Each time the ball comes, have a look, watch him. If he starts against West Ham, watch. Nicholas Jackson is always falling away from the ball. He always seems to be falling away from the ball. Against what team was that? Against Bournemouth, when thanks Nick. When what's his face now? When Noni Madueke put a cross into the box, he put a cross into the box for Jackson. Watch Jackson's technique. You normally should be running onto the ball so you can hit it properly, whichever angle you want it to go. But Jackson was falling backwards, and there's no way you're going to hit that ball properly. And this seems to be a regular occurrence with Nicholas Jackson. I'm sorry, I don't hate the guy. I think he's a decent player. He has a lot of potential. He has enormous upside, but the way he hits the ball, his presence in the box is poor. And now again, we're having this issue of even his 1v1s are becoming, less predictable in a bad sense that you can no longer be rest assured that he's going to finish 1v1 a goalkeeper. And I think this may be a confidence thing. I think McGee should be given a chance to play. I just think so. He should be given a chance to play. He should be given a chance to play in that striking position and give him the tools as well. Now, I don't want Enzo Maresca to be smarty pants about this, which is you bring in the striker, everyone is saying, give him a chance, and then the surrounding tools around him, the surrounding players around him, you no longer play a President, for instance, you no longer play Madueke, for instance, you no longer play a Palmer behind him, for instance. No, the players you've been playing with, Nicholas Jackson, play them as well. Play them as well around McGee, and let's see what he's able to do, because he's shown that he's a willing presser. He can willingly press the ball. Willingly, he runs for a full 90 minutes. He's going to press the ball, and it shows that he has shown his ability to score goals as well. He's shown his ability to score goals in the Conference League. And that's one mistake Graham Potter made. You know, after under Graham Potter, after Broja scored against Wolverhampton, and I would have thought, you would have thought as well, I'm sure, that okay, he's shown that he can score a goal now. Let's start giving him opportunities in the game, giving him, to boost his confidence up 10, 15 minutes. Graham Potter stopped. Keep him on the bench regularly. So the same thing is what Enzo Maresca is doing now. McGee scored all those goals in the Conference League. One would have thought, okay, he scored, bring him in. Not saying automatically come start, bench Jackson. I mean, at that time, but coming off the bench, 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, coming off the bench, getting goals. But no, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that happen. We're not seeing that happen. And now I think McGee should be given a run of games to start ahead of Jackson. Now you can even decide that you play Jackson wide on the left to play as a left winger. And I think that is where he can thrive. That is where he can thrive. Now, I want to say something. If you're here, thanks for being here. Please subscribe to the channel, to notification bell to be notified each time I go live like this or put a pre-recorded video on the channel. So, I would also like to know what your thoughts on this. Am I being too harsh on Jackson? Do you think Jackson should be given, more game time? He should start against West Ham and play to the end of the season. What do you think? Because there's one thing I've always said. You see, you can be a winger and be a goal-scoring winger, score lots of goals. But you see, having that killer instinct in the box is something that typical number 9s have. Your Erling Haaland, your Harry Kanes, your Lewandowskis, your Victor Osimhens, they have that killer instinct in the box. Whether you're a pacey striker or you're a goal poacher, fox in the box, whatever you want to call it. Typical strikers, that they have that killer instinct in the box. When the cross comes, boom, they know how to act. Like the chance that Jackson missed, although, to be fair to Jackson against Man City, the Palmer cross wasn't good. It was taking Jackson slightly away from goal. But someone with that striker's killer instinct would have smashed that ball, would have smashed through that ball with his left foot. But it seems Jackson, doesn't have confidence in his left foot, because that showed against Crystal Palace. Through 1v1 towards the goal, he caught the ball. He caught the ball past the defender, and the ball was on his left foot. As opposed to taking the ball with his left foot, he forced it with his right foot, and it went wide. So for me, I want to know, what do you think about Nicholas Jackson? What are your thoughts and opinions on Nicholas Jackson? Do you think he's doing okay? He's been stuck on 9 goals now for a bit. He's been stuck on 9 goals now for a bit. There's one player I'll be talking about. I've done a video on him previously, and I'll be talking about him on a different show on the channel. And it's this guy, Emmanuel Emega. Some of us should know that name. He plays for Strasbourg. How about thinking about getting that guy on the loan? Because I think the same people control both clubs. You should be able to get them on loan, and maybe send the Shimon Mueka, or only we have David Washington is gone. I think he's almost completing his move to Santos. If not, he should have been loaned to Strasbourg, and then you sign what's his face? You sign Emmanuel Emega. He scored 8 goals and made 2 assists in 14 games. So that's 10 goal contributions in 14 games. So you see, that's a very good record. But that aside, dealing with what you have now at the minute, dealing with the players you have now, I think McGee should be given an opportunity. And maybe you forget about Tell for a minute. Forget about Martin Tell for a minute and have Nicholas Jackson play out wide at that left wing. He has the pace, he has the skill. I think that would even suit him more, because he would just be there with the whole, with his primary focus as creating chances, as opposed to having the burden of scoring. Because if as a winger you get 10 goals a season, that's brilliant. 10 goals a season with maybe another 5 to 6, maybe 10 assists a season, that's 20 goal contributions. That's good. But as a striker, to have 10 goals a season and 10 assists, it looks good on paper, but a striker is meant to be scoring goals. I'm sorry, that's the primary function, of a striker. So I feel these are certain changes that he needs to make. Now, in a later video, I'll be talking about this as well. The goalkeeping situation, I think Sanchez should be completely dropped. When I mean dropped, not even be in the squad, in my opinion. I think Chelsea's got the Belgian defender, a Belgian goalkeeper on their books already on loan to Genk, Mike Penders. He's 19, so he fits this so-called blue coat model. He's available there. You get him in. Let him be the number one already. We all know he's meant to be the number one. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's a massive unit, 6'7". So he's 2 inches taller than Sanchez. Has enormous longer reach. So bring him in. Let him be the number one already. From this season, we know the club wants him to be the number one in the long term, but he should just be number one already. Thibaut Courtois, 2.0. Sanchez, no. The mistake Sanchez makes is becoming too much, and the noise that he creates, that is being created around him, is something Enzo Maresca doesn't need. It's something Chelsea teammates don't need. It's something that Chelsea Football Club doesn't need. Because, for instance, against Wolves, he was fouled for the goal. He was fouled for the goal. If that was any other keeper, everyone would have been criticizing the linesman. Everyone would have criticized the goalkeeper. The referee for not calling that as a foul, because the Wolves player didn't even think of going for the ball, just backed straight right into Robert Sanchez, and that's how they got their goal. But if that was any other goalkeeper, you wouldn't have the noise of, oh, Sanchez is bad, he should be dropped. It's becoming too much. And it's beginning, I think, to affect slightly, ever so slightly, the concentration of the defender, because they're not only concentrating on doing their job, they're not thinking about, I hope Sanchez doesn't make a mistake. I hope Rob doesn't make a mistake. That rather than being 100% focused on doing their own job. But for me, I think Rob Sanchez should just be dropped already. For me, this is my theory why Robert Sanchez has played this thus far, and why he may, emphasis on may, why he may continue to play. And it's this. The sporting directors, Clearly Capital, Todd Bowley, and the rest, Enzo Maresca, they've all realized that he isn't good enough. Probably realized this a while ago. Probably, 2 seconds after he was signed. But they didn't just want to let him rot on the bench. What they want to do is they want to fatten him up. You know how you prepare your chicken. You clean it up. You put the spices, marinate it, and everything. Make it look good, and then you put it in the oven, and then it looks good and juicy for people to want to eat. So I think that's the same thing they're doing with Enzo Maresca, with Robert Sanchez. Let's keep him in the shop window. Let's keep him playing so he ends up in the shop window. 1 or 2 clubs will be looking at him. Maybe clubs that are looking to gain promotion to the Premier League will be looking at him. Some French clubs will be looking at him as well. Some clubs in Spain will be looking at him. And then if he completes the end of the season and has maybe 5-6 clean sheets to his name, puts 1 or 2 camera-worthy saves, that can get him a move to a club, and that will even make the club feel like they can make him better and feel like, oh, Chelsea just a banana case, a hot mess. That's why he's not doing so well. Confidence affected, but he's good enough, and then pay at least what Chelsea paid, at £25 million or thereabout from Brighton to get him. So maybe that's what people are, maybe that's what's in their mind. That's what they're trying to achieve. But whilst you're thinking about that, think about what that is doing to your team while you're thinking about the bottom line. Because my theory is this: the number one way to win, the number one way to make money in football as a football club, that's if your whole intention is just to make money, is by winning, finishing in Champions League spots, being part of the Champions League, going far in the Champions League, winning FA Cups, winning Premier Leagues. Because as you continue to win, you begin to have the big sponsors. TV money comes in. That's the best way for you, to make money from football because and even your young players, if your team, is in the top half of the table, in the top four, your fringe players are viewed differently. They're viewed as being better than they're viewed when you're outside the top four. They view, oh, this player is good, but it's just because you have better players ahead of him. That's why he's not playing. So we can get him and pay premium fee for him, and he will play well for us. But once you're out of the top four, once you're out of European sports, then teams look at you differently. A player that would have gone for £30 million will now probably go for £20 million. So those are things that people should consider, and that I think they should consider. And then before I end, I want to talk about two bits of transfer, whether I say news or rumors, because I don't think it's official or anything. So Baleba and yes, another Brighton player, and Ruta, have been linked to Chelsea, that Chelsea have shown interest in them, and whether Chelsea wanted to offer, I think they're offering £150 million for both of them. That is just silly talk. That's why I don't think clearly capital and sporting directors are that stupid. I don't think so. Now, Baleba is rated as one of the top central midfielders, young central midfielders. Good. I agree. But you've got Andre Santos, Strasbourg. You've got Andre Santos doing bits in Strasbourg, being impressive at Strasbourg. You have Leslie Kochuku doing well for Southampton, though because of their position on the league table, you may not really think he's doing well, but he's doing well for them. So why not wait? If you're going to wait to the end of the season, have Andre Santos come back in, have Leslie Kochuku come back in. Then you add them to your Caicedo, you add them to your Enzo, and then you add them to Lavia as well, and then you won't have to feel the pain of, you won't feel the absence of Lavia due to injury that much. So why would you want to spend that much money on a midfielder when you have these options, and when you know your main need, even more than the goalkeeper, even more than the centre back, is a striker, an actual number 9. This has been known for the past, 2 seasons going into the 3rd season right now. It's been known. Under Potter, you know you needed a striker. Under Pochettino, you know you needed a striker. Under Maresca, you know you needed a striker. So why would you spend 150 million? I would spend 150 million on, on Ruta, who is not really magnificent in my opinion. He's not that great. I don't know, people rate him, but I don't really think he's that great. And then you want to get Baleba. Baleba is a good player. He can be great. But you already have Caicedo. You already have Leslie Kochuku. You already have Andre Santos. And for me, Alex Matos is somebody I don't understand why he was loaned. Because I think he's still a young kid. I think he's 19, Jerabao. He's still a young kid, but he has body, his man body, he's built properly. And he's mobile, he can play that role. So you already have like 4 or 5 options there going into next season. So why would you want to spend a fortune on Baleba? I don't get it. Let's say if you have 5 Ferraris, why would you want to buy another Ferrari from your neighbor just because it's fine or it sounds nice? You already have options. You have options ready. You have Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, you've got Leslie Kochuku, you've got Andre Santos, and you've got Lavia. So you've got 5 options already on your books. So why would you be thinking about going to get a Baleba and spending that much? Why would you want to do it? Even if you need to sign any player that is not a striker, it should be Ryan Cherki. It's available for 22 million euros. He's magical on the ball. I don't care what anyone says. People talk about his attitude. What do you mean his attitude? What people forget about Eden Hazard is before Eden Hazard was signed, there was talk about his attitude. Oh, his attitude is so bad. Poor attitude. Poor this, poor that, poor that. He came to Chelsea, see what he did. And it's important to note as well, like some people have forgotten, Eden Hazard played under two of the most disciplined coaches ever. Two coaches that take discipline are so important. Enzo Maresca, no, um, Conte and Jose Mourinho. Two coaches that are no nonsense. If you come late to train, if you don't train properly, you're out of the team. So he played under these two coaches and succeeded under these two coaches. But he was someone that if people had listened to when they were talking about attitude and all that, he wouldn't have been signed. Same thing Ryan Cherky. I think he's someone that could be useful, either pairing up with Cole Palmer or playing instead of Cole Palmer if Palmer is injured. And speaking about Palmer, you should be careful. I know he's Chelsea's most important player. Don't get me wrong. Each time I speak about Palmer, people think I'm trying to criticize him. No, I'm criticizing Maresca. Don't overstretch Cole Palmer. We saw what happened to Pedri. Pedri played for Spain fantastic, refused to drop him. He came back to Barcelona, they refused to drop him. He gets injured, he comes back, he plays. He gets injured, he comes back, he plays. And now I know he's still trying to play well now for Barcelona, but he's still struggling because of that injury. So having to play Cole Palmer through injury, having to play through, force through pain barriers, is just not good. And you want to tell me Jack Felix is so bad, he's such a bad player that he can't play 20 minutes after Palmer. I just can't believe it. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. That Palmer is that Jack Felix and Gunku are so terrible that 10 minutes, 25 minutes, some games that instead of Palmer, and then sometimes for a player like Palmer, sometimes it could be beneficial to have him sit on the bench because Palmer is a cerebral player. Sometimes it's good to have. It could be good to have him sit on the bench and watch the game go, and see some places where he can pick the opposition apart, and then comes on for Joao Felix. So you have two benefits. You've given him some time to rest. You've allowed him time to even read the game even more, and then he comes on the pitch and makes a huge difference. So that's my opinion. That's what I say. So, and then talking about Matistel, and I talked about it earlier in the video, talking about Matistel, and say Spurs have agreed a fee with Bayern Munich. For me, Matistel, I'm not too crazy about signing Matistel. I'm not too crazy about signing him. He's a good talent, no doubt. He's got pace, no doubt. He's got skill, no doubt. But he seems to be another player that will need to be nurtured. You need to nurture him, make sure you don't shout too much at him, cuddle him, bring him up to speed. And that's not what Chelsea needs at this point, in my opinion. I don't think so. For me, I think Jackson can even play out while they have McGee playing that striking position. Or you look at other striking options. People are talking about even Ferguson. For me, I don't see it. Because yet again, he'll be a player coming in low on confidence, and then the team would have to rally around him. The coach will have to, be a motivational speaker for him to start playing well. And you don't know how long that could take. If he signed, of course, it's a Chelsea fan. I would support him. I would back him. Of course, my need for the team to win surpasses, my opinion on any player. But the problem is, would he really come and succeed from day one? Or is it someone that if he signed after the first two games, fans will begin to call for Nicholas Jackson to come back in because he's not been able to play well. He's been missing chances and all that. And then his injury record as well is not that great, in my opinion. I don't know what you think. Injury record is not that great, and he hasn't been having game time. He's not in red hot form as he was a couple of seasons ago. So that's my thoughts and opinion on these issues. And I think Enzo Maresca should tweak his formation a bit, tweak the way he wants to play a bit. Just tweak it a bit. No one is saying go and be defensive, park the bus like Antonio Conte or Jose Mourinho. No. Find a way, tweak your formation a bit. All the best coaches in the world, that's how they've done, that's how they've managed to get success. That's how they managed to get success, in my opinion. So thanks everyone who's watched this video, this live stream. You can share it if you want to. That would really be helpful. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and also click notification bell to be notified each time I go on live on this channel. So at the moment, I want to say thanks for joining. To have a splendid rest of your day. Stay good and stay blessed. Bye bye.